Hey guys, it's about 8:30 at night. The boys are both asleep and I should be doing my laundry, but instead I'm going to read chapter 8 of The Secret School. So when we finished up chapter 7, Ida had that really unique way of dealing with Herbert. We'll see. I'm interested to see if the school stays open and if he keeps it a secret. That Ida reacted the way she did. I can't imagine that he will. Chapter 8. After recess, schoolwork resumed. Mary and Flex did more reading. Then Ida asked that they work on math, with help from Tom. Meanwhile, she worked with Charlie on his exercises. Natasha sat with Herbert and helped him with his math, since he was behind. Susie, off by herself, worked on her penmanship. As the day progressed, Ida felt her anxiety fade. She looked over the class and everything was calm. School, to her surprise, was working. Then why was she so exhausted? Was every day going to be like this? She tried to make a mental calculation as to how much longer the term would be. To her horror, she realized she was too tired to even add properly. Tom raised his hand. Yes, Tom. Miss Bison, may I come to your desk? Of course. Standing next to her and shielding his hand with his body, Tom showed Ida the face of his pocket watch and whispered, It's past 3. Ida blushed, hesitantly, dismissed school. How'd it go? Her father asked her in the barn as she milked the cow later that afternoon. It was really hard, Ida confessed. That Herbert acted up. Did you have to take the switch to him? Thinking of what happened, Ida suddenly found herself smiling. Got him to work without it. Good for you. But the days seemed so long, Pa. I didn't even know the proper time to dismiss anyone. I don't have a watch. Tom had to tell me. I've got something for that. He left the barn and returned in moments with an old wind-up clock. It was ticking loudly. Ida wrinkled her nose. It's awful noisy, she said, not wanting to be unappreciative. Got a drawer in that teacher's desk of yours? Yes. Keep it in there. And tell you what, I'll give you a good fleece to wrap it up in too. That way no one will hear. Thank you, Ida said, giving her father an appreciative hug. Much to Ida's surprise, Friday went smoothly. True, Herbert didn't come to school, and Ida did wonder, considering what had happened, if he would ever come back. Still, it was a relief to get to the weekend. She and her father dug holes and set posts on their way to extending the south meadow. She found the hard work soothing. On Monday, Herbert was back in school, acting as if nothing had even happened, with no explanation about his absence either. Though he was not always attentive and spent a great deal of the time simply staring out the windows, he was no longer disruptive. Ida was content with marking him present in the attendance book. She tried her best to follow how Miss Fletcher had everything organized. Each day she had everyone read and memorize from their 15-year-old set of McGruffy's readers. She read aloud, too, a section a day from Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, from where Miss Fletcher had left off. They reviewed bits of geography, names of states, capitals, and rivers. They went over the facts of the United States history, the names of the presidents in order, famous battles, important heroes. They did penmanship, bookkeeping, and grammar exercises, which meant phrasing sentences or doing problems on the blackboard. Math problems were done too, often out loud. Singing selections from the Old Favorites songbook, plus recitations of memorized literature passages rounded out the day. On Friday afternoon, the weekly contests were held, with Natasha, as usual, setting down all others in spelling. Tom won in mathematics. Ida added high marks for both in her school ledger. As Ida moved into her second full week of teaching, so she's done this for 2 weeks now, she caught herself taking moments to relax, gaining a growing awareness that she did not have to be teaching each and every minute of the day. And an even bigger discovery was that if she just let the students work at their own pace and allowed their questions to become discussions for the class, time went by quickly. More and more she found herself listening to them, thinking about what they said rather than worrying about what she should say. It amazed her, too, how much she saw from the teacher's desk, things she'd never noticed before, like how Flex screws up his eyes when concentrating or the way Natasha chews on her pencil, or how often Mary puts her head down and napped. Mary's taking naps during the class, or even how Tom fiddled with his right earlobe whenever he read intensely. One afternoon, right after lunch, Tom raised his hand. "Yes, Tom. Miss Bison, I brought something in that everyone might like to listen to." Listen to? The whole class turned around to see what Tom was talking about. Reaching down, Tom brought out a box and placed it on his desk, opened it, and pulled out something Ida had never seen before. It looked like snarls of wires. "What is it?" she asked. Tom, beaming, held it up. "It's a crystal radio. I built it myself." "A radio?" Charlie cried. "My dad says we're going to get one soon. Can I look at it?" he asked Ida. "Tom," Ida said, "why don't you bring it up here?" Proudly, Tom carried the apparatus to the teacher's desk. There was a scramble as the other students left their benches to gather around. Ida looked on, too. The crystal radio consisted of a cardboard tube that looked like an oatmeal container, around which copper wire had been carefully wound. Wires ran from the tube to a metal clip that held the shiny stone. There was also a hook wire that looked like a tiny pointer. Attached to this thing was more wires, which was connected to a round disc. "How does it work?" Herbert asked. Got to get this up first," Tom announced. He attached a long coil of wire to his radio and fed it out the window. "Everyone, let's go outside," Ida called. The children scrambled for the door. Once outside, Tom handed Herbert the wire. "This is called the antenna, and it pulls the signal. You need to tie it up there to the bell steep." Herbert took the wire, clenched in his teeth, then got onto Tom's shoulders and scrambled onto the roof. In moments, he reached the steep. Ida and the rest of the class cheered. Herbert fastened the wire to the steeple and then reached in and clanged the bell. "School's out," he called. Everyone laughed. As soon as he got down, they all trooped back inside. Tom began to fiddle with the radio. "You have to be really quiet," he said. "The mountains make the reception hard." "What's reception?" Flex asked. "That's what you hear from a radio." Tom picked up the round disc and held it to his left ear. "An earphone," he explained. With his right hand, he manipulated the little pointer, poking it at different spots on the shiny stone, the crystal. In breathless silence, everyone watched Tom as his face, earphone pressed to his ear, grew very intense. Suddenly, he grinned. "Got KJQ," he announced. "Salt Lake City." "Where's that?" Flex asked. "Over in Utah," Tom explained. "And what's KJQ mean?" Natasha asked. "It's the radio station's call letters, their name. They're playing music. I think it's called jazz. Does anyone want to hear? Oops, it's gone." "Where'd it go?" Charlie asked at a bewildered moment. "Shh," Tom commanded. He fiddled with the little pointer on the stone. "Got Denver, KDL." "What are they doing?" Ida asked. Tom's face showed intense concentration. "Giving livestock prices. Here, listen." He held out the earphone and put it flat against Ida's ear. "Pork bellies are listed at 22 per," she heard in a very scratchy voice, which faded and then grew louder. She handed a listening disc to Herbert, who then passed it on after a few moments. One by one, the children listened rapidly. At one point, Flex cried, "They're talking about sheep." After they'd each had a turn, I'd asked, "How does it work?" Everyone attended closely while Tom went into the complex explanation of workings of the radio. As he talked, Ida studied his face, deciding that what she liked most was its intensity. She loved how excited he was by what he had done. Then they listened to the radio some more and continued passing around the disc. As Tom poked different places on the crystal, each student would call out its location. "Kansas City, Albany." "Where can we can go anywhere," Flex cried excitedly. Ida had the idea of pulling down the map of the United States and using the pointer, indicating where each place they had listened to could be found. It was during Charlie's turn that the most exciting moment occurred. "It's a baseball game!" he shouted. "From Chicago!" Then it was time for afternoon recess. Ida had to almost shoo the younger kids out. Only she and Tom remained in the room. "I'm glad you brought that in," she told him, as he packed the crystal radio away. "How'd you learn to make it?" Tom gave a shy shrug. "Popular mechanics. I wrote away for the parts." Ida felt a swell of pride for him. Suddenly the door burst open, and a red-faced Mary Cole appeared. "Ida, Miss Bison," she corrected herself. "There's a lady out there I ain't never seen before, and she says she's from the county education office. She says she needs to meet with our teacher." Oh no! What do you think is gonna happen? Somebody from the county education office came to visit. What do you think the county education office lady's going to say when she sees that their teacher is 14 years old? All right, be sure that you write down your answers in the comments because I really miss you guys and I want to hear what you think about our story. And I'll read chapter 9 tomorrow. Bye.